All right, so yesterday we just briefly talked about tree factoring, right? And upside down birthday cake method for factoring or for finding the greatest common factor, okay? Now, the reason we did that was the prelude to this. This is really important, right, to understand how to do this. And it's basically, if I asked you to do this, this is going to be the reverse of the distributive property, right? This is basically the reverse of the distributive property. Okay? So for example, distributive property says this, 2 parentheses x plus 4. What would that give me? What would that give me? 2x plus 8. So what I'm giving you with this lecture is we're starting here and we're going back to here. Does that make sense? We're going backwards. We're going back to this. This is called the factored form. This right here is the factored form. Right? And I don't know what you call that form. It's just the form. Right? So we need to try to go from here to here. How would I do that?
Well,
go ahead, Micah.
Think if it's 8, and then the first one's 2 goes into 8, and then 4.
So yeah, so you're noticing that they have a greatest common factor of 2, right?
Yeah.
Between both of these, 2 goes into both of these. You guys see that?
Yeah.
You see that? So you could factor out a 2. You could say 2 parentheses, and then basically this is what you're doing, guys. This is what you're doing. If you're factoring out a 2 from this, since you notice that both the terms have 2's in them, you're doing this. You're dividing by 2, right? Instead of multiplying with the distributive property, when you're factoring, you're dividing by this number. Does that make sense? So suddenly, 2 over 2 is 1. 1x is the same as just x, right? Plus 8 over 2 is 4. And then you just double check it. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times 4 is 8. Yes, we did it.
Yeah.
Right? You see what I'm saying? So let's try a few easy ones first. Let's say I gave you 4x minus 12. What do they both have in common between the 4 and the 12?
Well,
What goes into both numbers? What?
2.
2 does, but what about 4? Does 4?
Yeah.
Always start with this one, the smaller one, and ask yourself, does the smaller one go into the bigger one? If it does, then that's it. That's what you can say. So let's say 4. All right. And now what goes here? I'm basically going to divide this 4 out of this and out of this, right? So I'm going to do this.
X minus 3.
X minus 3. Bullseye. You got it. Right? Just totally the reverse of the distributive property. All right, let me give you, okay, this was number 1, right? That was 1, this is 2. Let's jump to 3. All right, 3. How about 6x minus 42? What, between 6 and 42, what's my greatest common factor?
7.
7!
Yeah.
Exactly! 7 goes into 6 evenly. 1 point.
Yeah.
No, 6, right? So we know 6 goes into 6 once. 6 goes into 42 7 times, right? So that's what you meant. So.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
All right, so we know we can take out a 6. So we're going to divide this 6 out of this and divide it out of this. So 6, that gives me x minus 7. Exactly.
6, 6, 6.
Right? Yes, right. But what if I gave you this? What if I gave you 4x minus, not that, minus, sorry, hang on a second. How about this? 4x minus 22.
Well, see, that one was...
So, Caleb, George.
Hello. That that one would have to be 2.
Yeah, 2 is the largest number that goes into these two numbers, right?
2 and
So we're going to do 2 parentheses 2x, right? We're dividing this by 2. That gives me 2x. Minus, divide that by 2, I get 11.
yeah.
Right? Fist to 5. Is this pretty straightforward?
Yeah.
Pretty easy? Awesome. Now we're going to make it slightly harder. And it's not that much harder, to be honest with you. In fact, the harder part that I'm going to do is the part that everybody freaks out about. And it's actually the easiest part of this. This is harder than what I'm about to teach you. But for some reason, people freak out, and they always think it's harder. And it isn't. It's easier. Because you don't have to choose. You know exactly what the greatest common factor is for the variables, right? So for example, so now we'll go to number 5. What if I gave you this? What if I gave you 3x squared minus 9x?
Oh, wow.
So now we have not only numbers, we not only have coefficients, the 3 and the 9, that have common, there's a greatest common factor of 3, right? Wouldn't you agree with me? 3 goes into 3 and 3 goes to 9, so I know I can take out a 3. Yes? Now, but what about the x's? Do they both have at least one x?
Yes.
Yeah. So this has x to the 2, this has x to the 1. You agree with me?
Yes.
What do they both have in common?
They both have exponents.
Correct. But that's correct. That's true. But they both have, do they both have x squareds?
No.
Do they both have x to the 1s?
Yeah.
Yes, because x squared is x to the 1 times x to the 1, right? You with me?
Yeah.
So I know I can take out the x with the smallest exponent. I don't even have to make up something. I don't have to wonder. It's just the x with the smallest exponent. That's what goes here. As long as it's in both of them. As long as the x is in both of them. I take out the one with the smallest exponent. Right? Because this one will always include the one with the smallest. The bigger one will always have at least one of the smaller ones. Does that make sense? You see that?
Yeah.
So now, this is the question, what do I put here? So I'm now dividing this by 3x, and I'm dividing this by 3x. So that's just 1, right? So I don't have to write the 1. But what do I have when I have x squared over x? Basically, that's x to the 1, right? It's x to the 2 minus 1. So I'm just subtracting this 1 here from that 2. And that just gives me x. I think I just lost you.
No.
You see it? All right, minus 3 goes to 3 once, 3 goes to 9 3 times. That's 3. What's x over x equal? What? 1. 1. So 1 times 3, negative 3 is negative 3. So those basically cross out, right? So it's just that. Yes?
Yeah.
All right. That was, I think sometimes when I try to explain it, I feel like I'm using too many words and making it too complicated. Once you see it, let's just do a bunch, and I think once you see it, it's going to be like, oh my God, this is awesome. It's easy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, let's
One
do
more.
17 more.
Say 2. One more.
That was a great idea. 20.
One more.
No.
12.
No.
Okay. 6.
Caleb, get off my color rush. Sorry. Caleb is stuck
Caleb.
in the row.
All right. All right. Okay. All right. Guys. Okay. All right. So let's say we have let's say we have 12x to the. I'm gonna make it a little harder. 12x to the 4th plus 36x squared. So you're looking first for the coefficient, the greatest common factor with the coefficients, the numbers. What goes into both 12 and 36? 12. So I know I can take out a 12. Now, can I take, do both of them have x to the 4ths? No. Do both of them have x to the 2s? They do. That's even though that says x to the 4th, it's bigger, so that's fine. It includes an x to the 2. So I'm going to take the x to the 2, the one with the smallest exponent, out. And now I'm dividing this by 12x squared. dividing this by 12x squared. 12 over 12 is 1. I can write the 1 if I want, but I don't need to. X to the 4th over x squared. I'm just subtracting the 2 from the 4. Gives me x squared. Plus, 12 goes into 36 3 times. X squared over x squared just crosses out. And so there's our answer.
Oh, this is easy.
Right?
I got it.
Okay, so now I'm going to do it without putting these things underneath, okay? I'm going to now do it without putting these things underneath, because if you need this, fine, use it. But if you don't, then you don't have to. But 6x to the 8th minus 4x to the 5th. All right? Immediately, between 6 and 4, what's my biggest number that goes in? 2. Boom. Okay, between x to the 8th and x to the 5th, which is it? It's always the one with the smallest exponent.
X to the 5.
It's x to the 5. Now, here we go. 6 divided by 2 is 3. X to the 8 minus 5. 8 minus, I'm taking 5 of the 8 away. It's x to the 3. Minus 4 divided by 2 is 2. X to the 5 divided by x to the 5, they cross out.
Okay, so
Right? So that's the answer.
Can we get the homework now? It's hard, but I understand it now.
One more.
Very for your please.
I know you love this. Isabella told, she came to me secretly before class and she said, Gary, would you please do 8 problems on the lecture? What? She doesn't remember it, but I do. Trust me. Okay. All right, 2x to the 10th plus 6x to the 6th minus 4x squared. Okay, 2 goes into all of them. X to the 2 is my smallest one, so I know I can take that out. As long as x is in all of them, right? X has to be common to all of them, right? Now, here we go. 2 divided by 2 is 1. I've got x to the 10. I'm taking away 2 of them. It's just x to the 8. Plus, 6 divided by 2 is 3. I've got 6 of them. I'm taking away 2, so it's x to the 4th. Minus 4 divided by 2 is 2. X squared divided by x squared is, they cancel out. Yes or no?
Yes.
You get it? I went a little faster.
I get the first one. Just I kind of get the second one.
Okay. So the main thing is with the x's, the coefficients I'm sure you're all good at, right? With the numbers. It's just the variables. Just realize it's just this exponent minus this exponent goes here, right? This exponent minus this exponent goes here. This exponent minus this exponent is 0, so we don't need to write it, right? We just write the 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2, okay? Can I pause the video?
Yeah.
Or would you rather me do a 9th problem?
No.